Before today's video starts, I want to mention that according to YouTube statistics, only about 23% of all the people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you end up liking today's video, please consider subscribing. After all, it's free and you can always change your mind and enjoy the video. I have a Patreon now, it's down there in the description. There are quite a few tiers, go check it out. It will help me out a lot if you decide to support me. On to the video then. Hello you guys, how y'all doing? I've been thinking about continuing this series once again, so we're back at JavaScript, just like before. And today we'll be talking about events, specifically events that we can call or use whenever something happens, for example when a page loads, or when a button was clicked, or when an input was flipped, for example. I'm just going to show a few quick examples and explain what they do, and also go through with these examples with you so that you know what's going on with this. So there's one thing you can do. As you can see, I have this events.js file, but I'm not going to use it as of now. I'm going to show you a bit of a different thing you can do. So we're going to add here a element. Before I do that, however, I need to copy the path of this and open it over here. There we go, that's our file in here. Let me just zoom in a little so you guys can see everything. So just zoom out a little. There we go. So what you can do is we're going to add a button, for example. So we're going to do it like so. We're going to say button. Then on click, because we want to do something when we click on it, so on click, and then we type in some JavaScript code. So you might remember this piece of code here. So let's say we want to change the text to the date, for example. So to do that, we type in document dot get element by ID, then the simple brackets, like the open and closed parentheses, and inside of these parentheses we'll type in what we want to use in simple brackets. I have to switch my keyboard layout for this, and these simple brackets we type in text, for example, and then we type in dot inner HTML equals, and then when I said that we want the date, so to get the date, type in date, and we need to add open and closed parentheses in order for it to register. So since this is a button, we also have to give it a bit of text, so it says, for example, click me, and we're going to add the exclamation point to it. And then we're going to have to end off the button, so it's actually relatively easy to do. There we go, we ended off the button just like that. So yeah, that's pretty much the code. I think I'm gonna have to scale out a bit so you guys can see it, hopefully. So we have a button on click with a event that says that the text element, which is up here, will change when we click the button, and it will change to the current date. And we'll say click me. So if I refresh this, we should have a button that says click me, and watch this paragraph up here. Once I click it, it changes to the current date, and it says it's Saturday, September 19th, 2020, Central European summertime. So that checks out. So that works. However, that's not the only implementation we can do. We can do it in a bit of we can also call like different functions. So let's say we want to reuse this function, but we want to use it as a separate function. So what you want to do is you want to basically go into your script. I'm actually going to copy this because this is going to make it much easier for me later. So I copied this part, and we're going to paste it in here, and we're going to make a few changes. So the few changes you want to make is add a semicolon at the end, obviously. And then what you want to do is you want to go up here and type in function, and let's say it'll be called display date, for example. It's a super generic name, but it will get us through. And we're going to add these squiggly brackets, and we're going to add it at the end as well. So with that, we just created ourselves a function that's called display date. And since you don't have anything on click here, if I save this, I pressed it at the wrong place, and I'm going to refresh this one. You'll see nothing changes because you do not have a on click event. It's empty now. So what you want to do is you obviously want to like change it fast. Oops, I didn't realize that I didn't have it selected. Oh crap. There we go. You go back to 150. And what we want to do is you want to say the name of the event that you want to call. So for me it will be display date, and it will have the open and closed parentheses, just like that. And anyway, save this. What should happen is it should change our text item in our class, so it's the ID text. So the first one should change to the date again, but this time it's as a separate function. So what we're doing here is we're calling a separate function to do our bidding here. So that's done. So all we have to do is refresh it over here. As you can see, nothing has changed. Once I click it, it does the exact same thing, and it changes based on how many seconds have passed, obviously, as you can see. So this result may be different, but if you see something like this, you should be good to go. This should say the current date, time, and in which time zone you are. So that's what we are going after. There are also a few more things you can do. You can also make it so that once it loads the page, so for example, let's see what we can do. That's on click when the user clicks on it. That's not what I want. Let's say we wanna. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to do something a bit different here. So here in this element, I'm going to say on load instead of on click. So I'm going to change the on click to on load. Load. So once it loads this element, it will say display date 1. Because we want to change a separate element here, and we're going to copy this function. It will be pretty much the exact same thing, but it will be display date 1 because it's a separate thing. And what's the ID? ID is result. So we're going to do is we're going to change this to result, not double T, just one T. And what would happen is if I hit F5, as you can see, nothing happens. Well, that's coolio, but it's not gonna work. So you need to add it to the body because the body obviously loads fast. So we're going to add it to the body instead and see if that works. So we have set to display date and change it to result, and the result is here. So if I hit F5, as you can see, once the page loads, it changes automatically without me having to change anything. So the onload function should always be done into the body element, because the body is the main frame that loads first, and then all the other elements load in. So we have the current data, but once I click this button, it loads a different time frame because it's a separate element up here. You can do a lot more things with this, obviously. You can do that once a key was pushed on a keyboard, or once the mouse hovers over it, or you know, you can make it various kinds of things, you know. Let's see here, I have another example here real quick. Once mouse moves away, no, on mouse over. Okay, let's do it over here on the first one. So on mouse over, okay. So we can just say on mouse, and we're gonna say over. So on mouse over, and we're going to copy this display date thing, for example. So instead of clicking it, what we have to do is just move our mouse over the element. See? And the more you keep moving your mouse over it, I'm not clicking anything. I keep moving my mouse over it, so it changes automatically, as you can see, each and every second. So it captures it pretty much each and every second. Once I don't have to move my mouse now over it, but once I hover over it, it changes. I hover over it again, it changes. I wait for a few seconds, hover over it, it changes. So that's pretty much what you can do with this when you want to set it to hover over and do something. If you hover over it with a mouse, with this you can implement some simple game logic in your JavaScript game if you want to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much all of it. You can do a lot of things. You can, for example, make it so that things should be closed or done every single time you close a page. You can perform actions when the button was clicked, as I showed you. We can click the button, it changes the first one, or we can hover over with a mouse because we added the functionality into it. The only thing to remember is if you create a function, you need to type it in exactly as it's called, because a lot of the time people are complaining that something isn't working, and it most likely is a result of you not paying enough attention to what it's called, what the real name of the function is. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all there's to events. There are a bunch of other events that you can use, but again, I'll leave it up to you guys to discover this. I'm just showing the basics, how to use certain functions, you know, how to get some events going. So it keeps on working, keeps on running. So if that's something you're after, learn about events, make your page look amazing with this, make some really cool things with it. And yeah, on that note, I would like to thank you guys for joining me today. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will hopefully see all of you beautiful people next time.